You're listening to Spark TV, where we bring you daily interviews with real women in business at all stages. I'm your host, Danielle Lewis, and I am so grateful to have you here. Oh my God, Amelia, welcome to Spark TV. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this.
Same, because we get to talk on like our virtual vinos and whatever,
Mhm.
but like not in depth,
Yeah.
it's kind of like what's going on this month, high level.
hmm
So I'm super excited to just learn more about you and your business because I already think you're amazing. So this is so fun.
Yeah, I'm excited because, even on the virtual Vinos, like you don't want to take up too much airtime, right? So,
Yeah. Although I would like to. I'm like, is this a therapy session just for me?
Yeah, yeah, no, exactly. So, yes, my name is Amelia Godfrey, and I am the founder of Pelvy app, which is a pelvic health app for all things pelvic health. So, I'm a pelvic health physiotherapist. And essentially, I made Pelvy because I made it to use myself as a clinician with my patients. And I have a bigger mission, which I'll talk about, but essentially the thing with working in pelvic health is we give a lot of advice, a lot of
Mhm.
advice. And so, we try to cram a lot into appointments, which is something I have to try and work on. But there are some patients who say, I can only afford like two appointments, like give it to me. And so I
Mm.
guess you layer on all this advice and you give these very elusive pelvic floor exercises. And even we have some clinical software or like exercise prescription apps that we can use, but they're really not very specific to pelvic health.
Mm.
And I guess I've worked in public hospital, a couple of different private clinics, and I realized that there are some very big, like recurring themes and pain points for us as clinicians, but for our patients. And I really just had to make this when I started working more in pelvic pain because this is for patients, especially who are pretty complicated. They have bladder, bowel, sexual symptoms. So it's affecting multiple organs. It's not
Mm.
just like, hey, I'm leaking and I only have a bladder concern. Um, they're not straightforward. And so there's a lot of advice. Research shows that we should be seeing these patients like 8 to 12 times. So,
Wow.
yeah, so like imagine you're giving a handout every time. I've had
Mhm.
patients come to me with a folder of information. It just breaks my heart. And um, I try my best until recently having Pelvy, I was sending email summaries, but even it's like, oh yeah, like what email was that in? And I think if you have to search something and sift through, there's a barrier to just accessing your education. So that was like my really important feature to have. So I put all of my notes in there and I can update it every time I see my patient, and everything's just in the app. You just open it, it's there. And then have you ever done pelvic floor exercises? This might be a very personal question to talk
Oh my
about.
God, I'm literally sitting here going, the only thing I can like relate to is like Kegels.
Yeah. So essentially, we have to, if we're dealing with improving strength, we have to fatigue the muscle. And you've got to do, I think most of my patients say, oh, I've tried Kegels. It didn't really work for me. I must be doing something wrong. And usually it's that you're not doing the right like dose. So you're not fatiguing the
Yeah.
muscle enough and you're not maybe activating the right muscles because, yeah, so I guess imagine you're getting given, let's say your pelvic floor, you have symptoms, but your pelvic floor is pretty like it can do more than just a few repetitions. So
Mm.
we'll give patients up to like 60 quick squeezes in a row. We might give
Wow.
patients like 10-second holds, and then we get into a long hold, which is like a 50% squeeze. And we'll even get people doing that for up to a minute. So
Wow.
essentially, you'll realize that it's such a mental exercise as well as physical. And most of my patients, if you're thinking about people that are postpartum, perimenopause, persistent pain, they've all got like chronic fatigue or some type of
Mm.
brain fog. So I wanted to make something that we could just like easily put it in, and it was like, cool, check your phone, let's check that that's cool for you. And yeah, that it has everything in one place, because I guess I just noticed that my patients they had things written in their notes folder. They had to set alarms on their alarm. They had the app that they pay for that I can't customize, or that it's just really effortful for me to be like, hey, give me your phone, and it's an effort. And then I have to type that in my notes. So I wanted something that was easy for us to use and even easier for the patients, most importantly. Um, and ideally, the pelvic physio pays for it so that the patient gets it for a period of time for free. Yeah.
Oh my God, this is incredible. We've got so much to talk about. But how did you even get into this niche? So I'm sure you didn't like finish school and go, pelvic floor is for me. Like, how did you get
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, interesting. So, I mean, I studied physiotherapy and I worked in the hospital system. Kind of actually, I did know that I wanted to do pelvic health, but I
Yeah.
understood that I really wanted to have a broad range of experience. So, I've worked in the stroke unit, intensive care, rehab. I just felt like, oh, I'm pretty young. I don't want to go into this one area and feel like that's all I can do.
Mm.
So, and I'm glad that I did that. But I always knew that I loved pelvic health because
Why is
I'm
that? Tell me
I'm an
why.
oversharer. I love to like have I just get like all my friends know, I'm a deep and personal. They just tell me their weirdest and wildest things. And I think I just love to talk about pee poo and sex. Like it is my yeah,
It's all
my
the taboo subjects. I love it.
uh-huh. And I think I have developed skills over time to just also just help normalize things. And
Mm.
it's such a privilege for people to talk to me about that. I see patients with penises as well. So essentially, I have a lot of like older blokes coming to me and talking to me, needing
Wow.
to open up about their erections or their leaking, or their pelvic pain, which they actually feel even worse because it still has a taboo. But
Mm.
yeah, it's such a privilege. So I knew that I wanted to get into that. So since I graduated, I always used my like professional development fund on women's health courses. And then as I got more into it, I could then do like a men's health course. And then you actually can't really, it takes a lot of skills to be able to work towards treating pelvic pain, because it involves doing the opposite exercises. So you're not working on strengthening, you have to work on relaxing the muscles, stretching
Oh,
the
wow.
muscles, and it it's very complicated. So yeah, I guess I loved how I could keep building on it. I just felt like as a physio doing like musculoskeletal stuff, intensive care, I was like, there's nothing really that I can just build towards in my years. Like, yes, sure, I can know more about the research or be a bit better, but like there's no extra skills I feel like I can gain. Whereas, yeah, pelvic physio is different in that way. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And I mean, so good that you are normalizing the conversations
Mm,
because so hilarious. Like, the first thing I went to was like, oh my God, taboo subjects. You're like, no, let's talk about it. And I think we need that, don't we? Because
mm,
there is a lot of like embarrassment and shame around, am I normal? Am I not normal? Should I be feeling this? Should I not be
yeah.
feeling this? And you want someone to make you feel like it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah. And I mean, my bigger vision with Pelvy is also to have a place where people can just get answers to those questions. Like, what is normal? What are
Mm.
these signs of things? And like, interesting from my consumer feedback, I really wanted to have Pelvy being quite separate in its guidance section because I treat non-binary patients. So even non-binary, let's say they have like a uterus or a vagina, right? They might feel quite uncomfortable and not want to hear about like male related, penis related stuff
Mm, yeah.
for some reason. And but then I actually found out that like the big majority, they want to know about the opposite sex as well, because they want to
Mm.
know about things for their partner or their family. And also like people just kind of love to know about these things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a bit of a personal journey towards like what changed my life with pelvic health as well. And it's just it's pretty devastating that, you can cause some pretty crazy like you can cause some irreversible damage even just by not pooing properly. And I
Wow.
think like I love to just help people through wherever they're at in their journey and um normalize it, but spread that awareness. And essentially with Pelvy, I feel like I can do that with a much larger population. Whereas just working, 9 to 5 as a pelvic physio, I can just help my patients. And I kind of wanted to be able to have a bit of a bigger impact somehow.
Now I'm like freaking out that I'm pooing wrong.
Well, you can join my course and you can learn about the bowel stuff because it is
That's so fun.
life-changing. Yeah.
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 Isn't it wild though? It's like you think something that you do every day,
Yeah.
you're like, how could I be doing this wrong?
Basically, I've never met a patient with endometriosis or pelvic pain that
Mm.
poos optimally.
What can we talk about this? Can we talk about this? How do you poo optimally? I
I mean,
want to know. I'm like
yeah, it has to
fascinated
do
now.
with your stool form as well. But if you have like a nicely formed poo, ideally it should all kind of come out at once. You shouldn't be prematurely cutting it off. You shouldn't have to like really kind of move around and push. Yeah, it should be pretty effortless. And, the perfect ones are, and it has to do with consistency as well, but is like takes less than 20 seconds. You're just, it's coming out and you
Just
have to give a bit of
happening.
pressure. But yeah, I think I never knew what it was like to poo correctly until I was in my mid 20s. And yeah, in my household, we celebrate good poos. So
Wow.
it's about
Is
positioning, but it's
okay.
also about what you're doing with your tummy. So you have
Wow.
to be in a certain position to where you have an optimal hip angle. So, like, that's why squatting is best. You know,
Because I've
eas-
seen like stools where you can like
Mhm.
raise your feet up, and I wondered if that was a
And you need flat feet. You can't go on your tiptoes. So that's where people are like, well, I use tiptoes. But if you go through your tiptoes, then it actually often leads to you tensing your pelvic floor, which literally works as like, let's imagine this is the rectum. So it literally goes like, "Wah," and it will prematurely cut it off. And that's where you can
wow.
get hemorrhoids, prolapse, and so on. Yeah.
Oh
So
my
there's that.
God.
But yeah, it's about widening your belly and being able to really relax and widen your belly, whereas most people always draw it in and bear
Mm.
down. So you
Yeah.
try like getting in that position and then widening your belly and trying to keep it wide as you're like generating that pressure. And that's what would widen and soften your pelvic floor. It's a game changer.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
And does it like, is it all position or is it also like diet and that kind of stuff?
Well, yeah. So if you have the type 1 poo, so they're like nuggets, you're gonna struggle. Like those are a
Mm.
struggle regardless. And if you have leaking issues with poo or like, you get kind of poo that just comes out later, like overflow or whether it's just diarrhea, like the anus isn't meant to keep that in.
Yeah.
So, if you have loose poos, like I've said to patients, I'm like, you're not meant to be able to keep that in. The rectum is not and sophisticated enough to tell the difference between loose
Mm.
poos and wind. So that's where like people like can't trust a fart. Like that's usually, yeah,
Yeah.
that's to do with when it's really loose. And I've been there and I'm like, I got no problems with my anal sphincter. I promise you that.
Yeah.
But it's the loose poos and you nah. So our job,
Wow.
even like actually one of my favorite like cases to work with is these oldies where they're having these accidents, but they are having a diet where they just have really loose poos. And so
Mm.
once you optimize a stool form, it's like it's a game changer. And like fecal incontinence is the biggest reason for being admitted to a nursing home because
Really?
yeah, if you
Wow.
are like, having poo accidents, like patients would literally like barely even be able to make the trip in their cars without having
Wow.
problems. So, yeah, that's an easier thing to fix.
Wow, that is so fascinating. And
Mm,
yeah, it just blows my mind too that it is such a daily
mm,
occurrence that, it's not like at school or like your parents teach you how to do any of this stuff,
mm.
but it's like we are all like living in the same human body, having to do the same things every day. But
Yeah.
who would know about all of this?
Yeah. I often teach my patients, and they're like, oh my gosh, I need this for my 3-year-old. And
Mm.
I think, what do you get taught about toileting? when to like you got to go when you feel the urge, don't have an accident, and how to wipe. That's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's something that's really key for growing up and not having like toilet trauma and so on
Mm.
as well. So, yeah, kids have some big problems too, which pelvic physios can work with kids as well, and that's really rewarding too.
Oh my God, this is amazing. So, obviously, the inspiration for building the app was so clear. What's it been like for you going from like in practice, one-on-one, whatever, to like being like a tech founder? How's that transition been?
Terrible.
Oh
Oh
God,
gosh. I
I know.
mean, honestly, I think like I obviously had the expertise and the all I
Mm,
could design it how I kind of wanted it and I had the materials. I still got a lot of people to advise me because I don't claim to be an expert in pelvic health. I'm far from the expert compared to the experts in Australia for sure. So, I involved a lot of pelvic physios, but then it was just really hard to know what to do and who to get as like a developer. And I had a pretty bad experience, which is really common, where essentially you know, I got done.
don't worry, I got done too.
I got done. And
Oh,
basically, I wasted 40 grand. And I
wow.
had to make a really tough decision 14 months into them developing it of saying, I've just got to cut my losses. I can't afford to waste this time with you anymore.
Mm,
And fortunately, like I did a pre-accelerator program where I met someone who was a CTO and he looked at the code. And I guess I've learned so much, but that's definitely been my biggest trouble. Like I haven't had problems getting users. I just posted on a clinical Facebook group and I had 150 emails. Like, yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
described what it was going to do, and they're like, oh my gosh, this sounds amazing. So, it really wasn't that.
Mm.
And then it's just like, I just feel like I don't have the brain for that. I'm not a business person. It's been a lot of learning so many different things and trying to figure out what can I do myself? What do I need to outsource for? Because I've bootstrapped as well, which like this was my house deposit. This is my wedding fund. Thanks, Dad.
Yes.
Buzz. Um, so it's been very tough. And I think like I'm glad that I have gotten good at, and I've worked on this before in my life, getting good at being able to tolerate very uncomfortable feelings because I think that, if you are someone who really avoids like conflict or really uncomfortable feelings or feeling like you're failing or this and that,
Mm.
like this journey is not for you if you're non-technical and you need a technical person. Mm,
Yeah, it's just, it's so annoying and disappointing and infuriating that this is like the most common story. And I
mm,
know it happened to me too. Yes, it was also my house deposit. And then it was maxed out credit cards, and then it was this, and it was that. But it
yeah.
is such a common story for a
Mm,
non-tech founder and female non-tech founder
yes.
to, yeah, be kind of wooed by the developer that says they can do what you want them to do,
Mm,
only for you to pay money, get halfway through and go, wow, you really can't do what I needed you to do and what you said you could do.
yeah, yeah. I think like I wouldn't have found my current developer had I not had this
Mm.
problem initially. So it's like, okay, like it really
Silver
has
lining.
led me, yeah, like if we really need to put a silver lining on it. Um, having the I've called it basically my prototype. It's like I had it, but it just wasn't going to be able to be good enough to launch it. So I was at
Mm.
least able to get feedback from clinicians on it, and it made developing this next Pelvy 2.0 or what we're using now possible. But yeah, I had to go leaner, so less features, and
Mm.
essentially that's definitely been like the worst thing is not speaking the language and people say just learn to code, just learn and I'm just like if this guy who charges 250 USD an hour, who's such a whiz and he's like really having to put in a lot of work on this, like how am I supposed to be able to do that?
Yeah,
Like, I
totally.
don't think that's fair to say. And
Mm.
Yeah.
I totally agree. And I think that realistically in business there are like you said, there's so many things that you have to learn. Like now
Mm-hmm.
now you're a sales and marketing person, now you're a customer service person, now you're a finance person, now you
Mm-hmm.
can't also learn to code and be a developer. Like it's just
Mm-hmm.
outrageous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Not me, especially like I'm bootstrapping. So I'm working 3 days a week still to be able to pay my bills. And yeah, Pelvy is just the abyss of
Money.
taking my
Yes.
money. But that's, we're going to be having revenue as of next month. So
Oh my
great.
God. How
Yeah.
does that feel? How does like looking back on all of the shit that you've been through,
Yeah.
how is it being so close to like being
Yeah.
in market?
Yeah, it's really, I think like the thing is it's always like, I think people always look for like the next thing and they're not really satisfied at what they achieve, which is such a big achievement. And sometimes I think you're so desperate to kind of get the next thing happening and, that'll feel so great when I'm at this point. And so it's
Yeah.
kind of surreal. I mean, yeah, but it's such a big, big achievement given it's taken so long to get here and it won't cover the bills at first, but it actually it does. It won't cover my developer if I,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's not paying me a wage, but that's okay. Like that's brilliant. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's showing you that it can. Like
yeah. And I
it's
think
showing
having
you
that
that you're on the right
growth,
path. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. But
Yeah.
yeah, oh, that's definitely my biggest struggle.
Yeah. And I mean, power to you because it's not easy to firstly take the risk to spend all of your
Mm,
money on someone that says they're going to do something, but then go through that pain and also go, yeah, that really sucks, but I'm going to keep going because this is
yeah.
important to me and this is my vision and I will make it work.
Mm,
And it is really hard too, because when you do spend the house deposit, you are also faced with, I am still going to do this. I want this vision. This will be happening, but how? How do I take the next step?
yeah, and
Yeah.
you're living like kind of below the line in a sense because you're really just trying to put everything in it. You're kind of pausing. I mean, some people don't, but
Mm,
I wouldn't have done this had I not been expected to not have kids for the next few years. Like, there's
yeah.
no way that I would have been able to do this with a family yeah, or even, yeah, I really had to think about that.
Yeah. And that's an interesting, I guess, challenge that women face as well, isn't it? Right? Like,
Hmm.
the business slash going to work to fund the business slash, whether it's looking after the household, whether that involves kids or not, it's usually up to
Mm,
the woman to manage. There's
yeah.
just so much that we need to juggle.
Yeah, I am glad that I have searched for a partner who's not only like capable of looking him after himself, but capable of really taking my weight as well. Like
Mm,
he's great at cooking and he can glean and and I think, but I wouldn't have put myself in this situation had I not been in my situation, you know?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
And it is unfortunately like a hard decision that we have to make sometimes as to whether it's even possible for us or not.
Mhm.
And amazing that you have a supportive partner because I know that sometimes we bag men out a little bit, but some of them are really good and some of
Oh, I,
them
I have to like
believe in our dreams.
reinstate the boundaries but it's so funny.
Yeah.
Like we just joke and I'm like, babe, I am a CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. Do not trouble my brain with that,
I'm
question.
going to use that.
Uh-huh. It's so funny. And he's just like, oh, Mills. And he's like, make Pelvy work and it'll all be worth it. I'm like, and
Totally.
yeah, we joke around. I'm like, are you ready to be my sugar baby? And he's like, oh, my dream, my dream. Yeah.
I know that is so funny. My husband's the same. He's like, when will you be a billionaire so I can quit my job and just lay around the house all day? And I'm like, I'm really working on it, baby.
Yeah. Well, he loves his job and like his job, he will be making good money when
Yeah.
he's finished his training. But like the thing is, I think just, but also like there's so many women that have supported their husband's career and not
Mm.
had their own career and like just so selflessly done. And we don't really give them praise as
No,
much, do we? It's just
exactly.
kind of expected. And yeah, I'm like, no, you want to earn the future with me? You bloody put the work in. Thank you, mister. Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, I love this. I'm taking this attitude into the
Hmm.
rest of my
I
day.
am the CEO of a multi-million dollar company. Is this a CEO question? Then figure it out yourself. Well, that's the great thing about ChatGPT. Just be like, sorry, that's for ChatGPT. Like,
I just love that. Don't trouble my brain with these menial questions.
I
This is
have
not for
things
me.
going on in here, and if you distract me, I'm gonna, yeah, it's so funny.
Oh my God, I love it so
Mm.
much. So, because we're recording this at the end of 2025, I'm asking
Yeah.
everyone, what's the vision for 2026? What's on your radar? What's the plan for Pelvy? What are you going
Mm.
to do?
Well, we have started our pilot, which is where, clinicians are using it with their patients and nothing's automated. Like I'm onboarding everyone. And if there are some individual users, like if you wanted to join and learn about how to poo very well and so on,
Yes.
then like
I'm so excited about
yeah,
this.
I'm onboarding people myself. Like it's just, yeah, it's a big process. But
Yeah.
then, yeah, we're getting feedback and everything. So by the end of January, we'll have processed all of our feedback and we're trying to make just the changes to really optimize the use of the app from a patient perspective, clinician perspective. And I guess my big goals are so my model is pretty weird in terms of revenue. So it's a B to B to C model. So
Mm,
the clinicians are paying and they're really not paying much. Like they're paying way more for AI note writing tools, but
mm.
essentially they won't pay that price really to use Pelvy. So I'm like, well, that means that your patients don't get it free forever. Like we can't just have unlimited patients for an unlimited period of time.
Yeah.
So essentially them using Pelvy, signing up patients means that eventually the patient will pay. And
Mhm.
so I guess even if a very low percentage of patients pay, like that's where I'm going to really be celebrating. We will have a virtual Vino then
Yeah.
but it's got to get through that trial period,
Yes.
And I did say that in the pilot, it'd be a 6-month free trial for patients. So I've got to wait 6 months for like hopefully some gingerbread to come through, which I'm regretting that. It should have been 3 months. But these are the things that you do.
Well, and I think too, like, there's nothing stopping you in 6 months' time to then change it.
Mm,
Okay, anyone after a certain point. Because if you kind of like in the next 3 months go,
yes.
oh my God, this is working,
Mm,
anyone from here only
mhm.
gets 3 months free for their pay. Like, you guess that's the kind of the nice thing about running your own business. You get to do whatever you
Well,
like
you
and
have
change
to
the
come up with
settings.
something. So, yeah, my
Yeah,
vision is that
I love
and
this.
like being able to somehow have the capacity to basically take on hopefully more specialists, GPs. So we've got two GP clinics in our pilot, and then sharing the results about the patient experience, the clinician experience to hopefully all the other pelvic pain and endometriosis clinics in Australia. So I
Wow.
think just like, yeah, more outreaching based upon what the feedback has been, which I'm hoping is going to be positive.
It's going to be amazing. I already know like
Mm,
how big a gap in your market this is.
mm,
Yeah, this is so exciting for you.
yeah, so that's what I'm manifesting and further features. We've got more features to develop, but yeah, we've got to test it all.
Yeah,
It's a couple
wow.
at a time, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's wild. I mean, I think that's kind of whether you're a tech business or not a tech business, you always have that giant list of like things that you want to do to improve your
Yes.
product or service or business.
Mm,
And yeah, it's kind of frustrating sometimes, like, okay, one thing at a time, get it out there, get it done. Yeah.
yeah, there's one feature that's limiting some clinics to using it because they
Mm.
already subscribe to like I mentioned that exercise prescription software.
Yeah.
So once we can take over that and have that featured, then like that's really where we're going to have a lot more clinicians. But yeah, I've got 42 clinics in the pilot. So
That's
honestly,
huge.
I'm like, I don't actually really want to have more because I want to be able to like nurture and look after them and their patients importantly. Because yeah, I
Mm.
am everything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've got a virtual assistant to help like a couple days a week. Like that was so important because I was sending emails
Yeah.
for hours and hours and hours. Like, yeah, delegating.
Yeah. That's incredible. 42, that's actually huge for a pilot. Like, and when you think about, loving on them and creating something
Mm.
amazing for them and their patients, like, this is going to be brilliant. I'm so excited for you.
Basically, yeah, I actually haven't announced this, so this is my exciting update. So, yeah, it's been a week since other clinicians have been using it, and we've got over 100 patients now. So we just hit
Oh
our
my
100 mark. Yeah,
God.
just in a
This
week.
is huge.
Yeah,
Yeah, this is wild.
yeah.
Like, that is so incredible. Oh, you're the best. This is so good.
It's
Oh my
exciting. Yeah,
God.
it's like it's surreal. So yeah, I'm really excited. Thank you.
Wow. Oh my God. I could talk to you all night long, but
I know.
I always love to wrap up these podcasts with one
Hmm.
last piece of advice. So,
Hmm.
reflecting on your time in business, what would
Hmm.
be a piece of advice that you would give to another woman on her business journey?
I mean, I think like it's a bit cliche, but you can't pour from an empty cup. And so, really considering like what's your role in your relationship, your household? Do you have the support? Like, how are you rejuvenating yourself? And it's just even like obviously just basics like eating and
Mm,
sleeping. And I think all that gets interfered with when you're a founder because you're constantly thinking about stuff. Like, I think in the last 3 weeks in my Pilates classes, I've not even had a break. I'm thinking about like pelvic, and I'm having some great ideas, mind you. But
yeah.
um, yeah, I think like that is just self-care is so important.
Mm,
And I'm still really juggling it. But yeah, that and like literally the smallest little things every day do add up to something big.
yes.
And it doesn't feel like much, but it's amazing to really recognize like how far you've come. If you can try and document that, it is so cool. Like I've got a Miro board, for the free version, and it's just like I just have these like little like events and milestones. And yeah, I think like as women, we're just perfectionists and we want to get to the next thing. And it's like, holy crap, like I really have had all this traction and so on. But yeah, probably those two things. I have
I
so many
love
more
that.
cliches.
But it's sometimes it's like there's a reason why we keep
Mm.
banging on about these things because they are genuinely so important, you know? It is true. I do that. I've got I just call it, I don't know what I call it, my 365 list, but I just
Mhm.
mapped out like 365 tiny things, like literally like a tiny thing I could do.
Mm.
So I was like, ever like if I felt overwhelmed, I could just go to that list. I'm like, here's one tiny thing I can do today.
Yeah.
And that means my business is growing and I'm moving forward.
Yeah.
And it makes you are so right. Like it does make such a huge difference. We just sometimes forget, unless it's a giant, shiny achievement, sometimes we forget to celebrate. And sometimes we don't even celebrate the shiny achievements either.
I know. I know. Like when my app got onto the Apple Store, it was like so exciting. And then it was
Oh
like,
my
oh
God.
yeah, it's on the Android. And it was like, oh yeah, okay. Like, I'm desensitized to this.
Yeah, totally. I'm just, kicking goals so much I forget.
Insert Shania Twain song. That don't impress me much. Like,
Oh my God. Well,
yeah,
we will be celebrating you because, yes,
can't
it is
wait.
absolutely
I'm
incredible.
gonna have a bottle of really expensive red wine when I have these like 6 month. Yeah, and I'll send you one, Danielle, and we'll
Okay. We'll open it and we'll have a glass together.
we'll let
Yes.
it breathe. Hmm.
Like we'll be very fancy about it.
Hmm. Sounds good.
Oh my God, Amelia, you are the best. Thank you so much
Thanks for
for
having
spending your
me.
time with us in Spark. I know
Oh,
so much, yeah, like so much wisdom, so many good stories. You are absolutely incredible.
thanks, Danielle.
That wraps another episode of Spark TV. Shout out to Spark TV sponsor IP Australia for their amazing support of the Spark podcast and women in business. And if no one tells you today, you've got this.